Tripoint Conversations. I'm your host, Kristina Lowe, and I am here today with Dr. Anora Morton, founder and CEO of the Nori Project. Nora's business is one that most people don't think about until they're hungry, vending machines. But you have a little bit of twist. It is not junk food. Your vending machines, it's about convenience, access, and something healthier. So welcome, Anora. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Kristina. I appreciate it.
It sounds like you have had a journey to get to where you are today. It didn't start with vending machines or thinking about owning your own business. Talk to me about where you started in college.
Oh, yeah, it's been a journey. I can confidently say ever since I was a little girl, I had, big dreams. I was born to a single mom. We did not live in the best situation. And when I was about 12, my mom had finished nursing school. She was able to get us out of our housing situation to a real house. So when I was 12, I started to feel like all my peers a little bit. And then my two sisters came and all that stuff. But, since then, when it was just me and my mom, they made sure that I was going to go to college come hell or high water. And they said, Anora, you have to go to college and we're not paying for it. So you have to figure it out. And I did. I got a full ride to University of Louisville because to me, and I remember getting that news, it wasn't like a, yay, I did it. It was like I had to do it or they were going to kill me or something. That's how it felt.
But what an accomplishment.
Thank you. Yeah,
ride.
It was, sometimes I don't take a minute to be like, yeah, you did that.
Yeah.
Because it felt like a requirement to be able to continue to live life. I'm serious.
Like it wasn't a question. I
had to do it.
Yeah.
They said I was going to do it, and damn it, I did it. I'm the first in my family to get a college degree, and so that's why they were really hard on me about. They were not gentle at all. They're like, you have to do this, because they didn't want me to end up like them or whatever else. I had to be the one to change the cycle, and that's hard.
Yeah.
Being the eldest daughter, and doing
Setting
that
the example.
Yeah. But since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a lawyer. I don't know why, if I'm being honest with you. I remember back in the day, and I'm a millennial, born in 94. So back in the day, they had these like little career tests we would take at school. And I remember I'd take these tests, and the top 3 careers that were suggested for me were being a chef, being an entrepreneur, or being a lawyer.
Okay.
And I'm not even kidding. I don't know if it was the test that influenced me or if I influenced the test. I love to cook. I always kind of wanted to be a business owner, but I remember even at a young age, I was risk averse. And I was like, I can go to college and be like, okay, I'm going to start a business, but it's not a clear line to money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's too ambiguous. I have to figure it out. It's too hard. So me being a little kid, I was like, oh, being a lawyer will be easier.
Because it's laid out for you.
Right.
You take these classes, you do this, you become a lawyer.
Exactly.
The success it's right there.
Exactly. It's the most risk averse. So even as a kid, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. It was just crazy to think about. I spent 20 plus years following something that a little kid made up, So, that's kind of what instilled in me. And so when I got to U of L, I did exactly what I was supposed to do. They didn't have a pre-law program. I majored in criminal justice and paralegal studies as like my little pre-law. I graduated with honors. My first semester, I made straight A's. And that's the first time I've ever made straight A's in my life. When I tell you I got to college, I did not play.
Yeah.
I went to that dorm, went to bed, got up, got breakfast, went to class, studied in between classes, studied at night. All of my friends used to tease me because I was always in the library.
Yeah.
They would text in the group chat, Nora, where are you? Are you at the library? Come out, let's go party. Yeah, no, I did not have fun in college. I was about the books.
You knew what to do?
I did. Yeah, I said, I got to get these grades just in case my LSAT, which is the test you take to get into law school, just in case that test isn't great because my ACT wasn't great. So I was like, I'm not the best standardized test taker. So I was like, I got to get these grades. And I did. And I got into U of L. So I graduated undergrad 2017, took a gap year, which was taboo. Oh my gosh. So my mom wasn't too upset about it. It was my stepdad.
Okay.
He is Cameroonian. And Africans stereotypically do not play with that. They're like, go to school and do what you need to do. No breaks. Because they're scared that you're going to fall through the cracks and not finish.
Yeah.
I remember it was such a fight. It was such a fight. And I was like, listen, this is my life and I'm going to live it.
It's one life.
Exactly.
And it sounded like during college, you stuck to the plan of studying. So you didn't have that fun, free time.
Exactly. I had no fun in college because of that. And so I said, damn it, I'm going to have some fun now.
Yeah.
So after college, I took that gap year. It was 2017 into 2018. And when I tell you, all of my friends, when we look back on that time in our lives, we all refer to it as the gap year, even though it was just my gap year. So I had already got admitted into law school pre-gap year, and then you can just defer your acceptance. So I did that. I lived life to the fullest. I got a really good job being an operations manager at Hertz Rent-A-Car.
Interesting.
At the airport. And it was my first like real salary.
Uh-huh.
And at the time it was good money.
I was going to say, so you had money coming in,
Yeah.
so you could go experience something.
Yeah. University of Louisville Brandeis School of Law, they accepted me on a conditional basis. So I also got into University of Georgia, and that's where I wanted to go. They were like, we want you here. As soon as they accepted me, they had people calling me like, hey, let's help you get from Kentucky. I wanted to go. They made me feel good. And I don't know what it was about it. My mom, I don't know if she had some innate mommy intuition and she knew COVID or something was going to happen. I don't know. But she was like, you cannot go. Please just stay nearby. And I was like, damn, you're cramping my style. I was trying to be in Georgia.
Yeah.
But
City.
yeah, so I just, for some reason I went with it. I was like, okay, I'll stay. And I went to U of L, and it was a total opposite experience. I never felt welcome at U of L. And I was in that summer enrichment program, and you had to go there like 2 weeks prior before classes started for law school. And that's where they kind of like taught you like law school basics. They tried to help you get ahead. So it was a small class of students on that same conditional acceptance, and we ended up growing close to each other. A lot of it was for people that hadn't been in school for a long time, or people whose LSAT scores were not great. Mine was not great. I think mine was just low to okay. So they wanted to kind of give you a step ahead. And if you completed that program, then you were fully accepted.
Okay.
But everybody got in, so it was no problem. So that was kind of the first experience. Like already, I feel less than. It was like remedial law school. Then you start law school, and it is, I tell people to this day that ask me, should I go to law school? No, do anything else. Anything else.
Something else. Yeah.
Something else. Anything else. And as a kid, I would ask people that I knew were lawyers. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer when I grow up. I want to be just like you. And they would look at me and say, do something else. Yeah. Yeah. I remember back then, because I'm so stubborn and steadfast at times, I was like, you know what? Screw you.
Yeah.
I've wanted to do this since I was 8. I'm going to do it. Nobody can stop me. And I remember one of my last jobs I had in the legal world prior to law school, I was a paralegal. And that law firm, oh my gosh, they were a mess. And they alone almost made me not even want to continue with being a lawyer. And I was like, I got to take myself out of this environment because I'm going to do it.
Because you saw them. I mean, being a paralegal, you were in it. And
I saw them firsthand. I was a
yeah.
divorce law paralegal.
So you saw some stories.
I had my life threatened. Yes.
Wow.
Divorce law is a dangerous thing. But yeah, so I kind of, in hindsight,
Listen to that advice.
in
but you know what?
hindsight, I do remember. And I remember one time, I cannot remember which attorney this was. This was probably when I was a teenager, maybe even in college. I finally was able to see a Black female lawyer. Coming from Woodford County, that's not a common thing. So I was like, here's a lady that looks like me. And I went straight up to her. I've never been shy about that. If I want an opportunity, I'm going to talk to people. So I was like, I want to be like you when I grow up. I want to be a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. And she told me, do something else.
Wow.
And I was just like.
But in your head, that's what you're going to do. That's what you went to school for. And that was your path.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to do this and I don't care what you say. And, I always want to be a public defender too. And we'll get to that. But so, yes. Anyway.
The glamorous lawyer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so I started law school. They say the first year of law school is to weed people out who aren't serious, who can't take it. I remember to this day, we had a class called torts. And there was a student in there. We had a professor. She was such a hard ass, but she was great. I love her. And we had a student, and she would cold call you. That's what they call it. They cold call you. You know, did you read the case? Tell us what the case said, all this other stuff. And she cold called a student, and he didn't have the answers. He got up, got his stuff, left, never came back.
Wow.
Left law school.
So that weeded him out.
Yes.
That was it.
He was weeded out. There were so many other students that never came back after that first semester. And I was like, come hell or high water, if I'm missing teeth, I'm coming back. You know what I'm saying? And at this point, I've got two little sisters, much younger than me, watching everything I do.
Yeah.
And I know I'm the first in my family, my bloodline, to even get an undergraduate degree. I have got to finish. So the whole time I'm doing this, and I want you to imagine me now. So now I sit here, you know, I'm healthy. I have a beautiful, a glow. I'm mentally in a good space. In law school, I want you to imagine a super skinny, super short hair. I cut my hair off on some Britney Spears stuff. I'm not even kidding. No shame
Stress.
to Britney, but I just was skinny, skeletal, no hair, unwell the entire time. And so that was kind of my experience going into it. And that first semester was horrible. And I'll never forget getting those first semester grades back. Now, mind you, my first semester of college, straight A's.
Yeah.
First semester law school, and they would tell you time and time again, your first semester grades make or break you. It determines what type of lawyer you're going to be. If you're going to be big law corporate, if you're going to be a PED because you don't have a choice, if you're going to blah, blah, blah. I had B's and C's, and I was like, what does that mean?
Because in your head, that sets the tone.
Exactly.
So what does it mean for, your
exactly.
lawyer?
And I remember I had one friend that made like straight A's almost, and he was the most, if you needed a lawyer on the worst day of your life, you wouldn't call him because he's not very social. You want your lawyer to be social, but you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that go to law school that have no intention on actually talking to humans about anything. A lot of people just want to, sit in that corner office and make that 6-figure salary. I wanted to go and help people, touch their lives. But anyway, so that set the tone. Is like, I made those grades that define me. They rank you in law school against your classmates. You get a number against your class. You are number blah, blah, blah out of number blah, blah, blah of your class based on your grades.
It's so competitive, but it also, it's like puts you into this box and tells you who you're going to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you have to fight and pinch and scrape to try to get your number up in that rank and all this other stuff. And it just got to a point where I was like, and I was going with it, but it just got to a point where I was like, this is crazy.
Like, what are you doing?
This is crazy. Yeah. And by my second year, I can confidently say I did not want to practice law. Based on, at that point, what I had known of it, I did not want to practice it. And I had a phenomenal experience working at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office under Tom Wine. That was a phenomenal experience, but it was also very challenging to me dealing with that. That was during the protest around Breonna Taylor's murder. So there was a lot going on with that, and a lot of emotions and a lot of politics and all of the things. So my law school journey was definitely challenging, toxic. It felt like a toxic ex that you just couldn't shake until you were ready to fully be done. I wanted to drop out my 2.0 year.
Yeah.
I remember I had a classmate. She made really good grades. She was a year ahead of me, and she's sweet to this day. I texted her. I was like, all right, I'm dropping out. I'm going to whoever's office I need to in the morning. I'll be like, listen, I'm done. Just mark my name off the list. And I was eating a bag of Lay's chips, had the chips all over me, just depressed going through it. And I remember she just came knocking on my door.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, you're not.
Not this far.
Exactly.
Come too far. Yeah.
Exactly. And she was like, you already have all these student loans. You might as well finish it. I was like, you know what? It was the student loans that kicked me back into it.
Make these student loans worth
it. Exactly. So I was like, okay. And I finished, grades got better as time went on, but also the law school classes get easier as time goes on. I did a lot of things that I'm proud of in law school. I got a scholarship to travel to Japan, which I'll get to that because it's changed my life. I became a published author during law school. I will never forget one of my biggest flexes in law school was the dean at the time, because I was writing article after article after article, opinion, politic pieces. And he found one of my articles that I wrote, and he was teaching a class as well. And he made that class do a homework assignment based off of what I wrote. Wow. And in that moment, I was like, this is it. Hell yeah. I was like, I am exactly who I think I am, regardless of the numbers, regardless of the grades. You know what I'm saying? Because I had some classmates in his class that were friends of mine. They were like, we're so proud of you, blah, blah. But there were also some classmates in that class that probably didn't have the best things to say about me or were not friends. And I was like, yeah, read my article tonight for your homework. Yeah.
So you were in it. I mean, when in law school, as stressful as it was, you went all in.
Yeah, I did. I gave it everything that I had. And I think sometimes that could have been an error, you know. I probably shouldn't have, because I centered it.
You had blinders on it.
I did. Complete tunnel vision. And I sometimes think that maybe I shouldn't have. Oftentimes I think back and I think I wasn't mature enough to go to law school. When I did, I needed a couple of gap years. Yeah. You know, there were a lot of my classmates that were much older than me. So I think a lot of time, I mean, my brain wasn't fully developed when I went. So it was one of the worst experiences of my life, those 3 years. And, you know, I'm still in therapy to this day. And, you know, almost every therapy session, something relates back to that. And I remember my therapist was like, listen, honey, it's going to take you probably double the amount of time to undo the trauma that you experienced during it. And, you know, I hate to, that sounds so big to me. Where there's, you know, so many other things that people go through. But for me, that was a traumatic experience. It was horrible.
Sounds like a lot of pressure put on you. You went through it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, up to that point, I hadn't really experienced anything traumatic like that. And the only other thing I can think of, I kid you not, I say this all the time. My great-grandmother passed away like 3 days before I started classes. And I was like, that was my sign. I should have left that alone. No, I'm just kidding. But that was one of the things I said to her on her deathbed is I was like, Granny, I start law school in a couple days. And, you know, with the little amount of breath she had left, she said, good. Yeah. So I was proud of that. I had to do it for my family.
You told her.
I did. I told my granny I was doing this. I'm doing it. Yeah. So, I got through it.
So then after law school, you graduate. What's next? What do you do?
So my plan was to go to the PD's office. So you graduate law school in May. You take the bar exam in June. They only administer that exam 2 times a year. As soon as you graduate, the next day you better be studying for that bar exam. There are tons of study systems that you can go with to study for the bar exam. The best one is called Barbary, or at least it was. Barbary back then cost about $3,000.
Wow.
Lectures, study materials, quizzes, whatever else. Now, mind you, I was the type of student, I had to work all through law school. You weren't supposed to work in law school because it's law school. I had to work. At one time, I had 2 jobs in law school. I had this ugly red Honda Civic with no AC. And I will never forget running around in a full suit in 90-degree weather in Louisville, going to a networking event. I was like, dear God, I hope when I finally get there, I don't smell like sweat. Yeah. Compared to a lot of my classmates driving, you know, BMWs with AC that works, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. They have
having a job. They could just focus on school, focus on their grades.
Exactly. Their parents paid for their apartment, stuff like that. I did not have that. I wanted to put myself on that same level. I wanted to afford myself as much privilege as I could control to then put myself on the same level so I could pass that bar exam. Yeah. So those classmates were using Barbary. It's the most expensive for a reason. It's got to work. So the one and only time I asked my parents for money was for Barbary. And I created a whole PowerPoint presentation. This is why you should give me $3,000. And they did, no hesitation. They support me 100. So I got the Barbary. I studied every day. And I remember talking to some of my classmates. They were like, hey, what are you doing tonight? I'm studying. What do you mean? Aren't you taking the bar exam too? I studied longer, harder, more than anybody I knew. I rented an office space because at the time I had to go home. I had to leave my apartment in Louisville because I was broke after law school. So I went back home to my mommy and I rented an office at the time. And so they helped with that as well. So I rented an office every day. I got up. I worked out. I ate a balanced breakfast. I went to that office. I studied. I took a break. I worked out again. I ate a balanced lunch. I went back. I studied. I went home. I slept by a certain time. I was not playing with anybody. I did that for months.
Yeah.
So when the test comes around, I was like, I don't know about y'all, but I'm about to pass.
Yeah.
I have sacrificed everything. I've done everything, you know, whatever else. There were some of my classmates would text me, be like, oh my God, I'm going to fail. I was like, that sucks because I'm not. I've put, exactly. Yeah. I was like, I've put too much into this. Anyway, so you take the bar exam, and then after you take the bar exam, you start working.
Okay.
So at the time they had a limited license to practice law, and I got my limited license. So that means that you could practice before your bar exams results came back because it takes months for them to come back because it's an archaic colonial system that they just need to do away with.
Yeah.
It's insane.
If it's online, it should be almost immediately.
And then on top of that, listen, there shouldn't be a bar exam in general. If you go through 3 years of torture, you should be good to go. But anyway, so I took the bar exam. I felt good about it. And then I started practicing with my limited license at Department of Public Advocacy, Shelbyville.
Okay.
So I worked there as a public defender. So I was a baby public defender. This is what 8-year-old Anora wanted to see. This is what 8-year-old Anora was like, I'm going to do this. Yeah. I did it. And at the time I had like this lavender suit. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be one of those sale attorneys that looks a mess. I'm going to be a cute public defender. Now, public defenders, as I learned in law school, don't make any money. So they don't make any money. And to be honest with you, they do the most work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They do some very challenging work, very respectful work for some very tough clients. And they usually never get a thank you. And that's why, you know, public defenders aren't known to be walking around in the best suits or driving the best cars because they cannot afford it. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm here to help the people. I'm here to be an advocate. That's what I signed up for.
Yeah.
So as best as I could with my Goodwill suits, I went in there and I was like, listen, I'm your attorney for the day. I'm gonna help you with your case. And I did good work. And, you know, I, you know, based off of what my clients told me, they wrote me letters, some letters I still have to this day. They were like, thank you so much and all this other stuff. But I could tell you by the second week working as a PD, I was like, this ain't it.
Yeah.
This is not what I spent 20 plus years working towards. This is very ghetto. I do not want to practice law. I just don't. I felt that in my soul. So I remember whenever I finished my work for the day at the office, after hours, I would apply for non-traditional JD jobs to see what jobs I could get maybe in policy or some other stuff where they like JDs there because I was like, I don't want to practice. I just don't. And then I felt so bad. I was like, Anora, don't say this because you'll keep saying this and then you'll get what you want and you'll find out that you didn't pass the bar exam. So I was trying to be grateful of everything, but it just was not for me. Long story short, so I've been at the PD's office for probably September, August, October. At the end of October, we get our bar results back. Mind you, we took the test in June.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
And you just have to wait and wait.
You're literally clenching every muscle in your body for months.
Yeah.
Yes, I was very skinny. Yeah, I get bar results back and I found out that I did not pass. And I was devastated.
That is devastating.
I was just sobbing. And then it's so embarrassing because the day the results came out at work on our email server, all the respective offices within the Department of Public Advocacy in Kentucky would send group emails saying, say congrats to our new lawyer in our office. And that wasn't able to come from my office. And it's so embarrassing. There's so much shame. And I'm like, I did everything right. I got the best, the good study system. I got Barbary. I paid $3,000 for it. I worked my ass off and it still was not good enough. So I was upset about that. And then, I was also kind of like peeking at the sky, like, is this my out?
Yeah.
You know? And then I remember thinking that I'm like in between sobs. Wait, could this be a good thing?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no. So with that limited license I had, you got 2 attempts at the bar exam. So I found out I failed. I was upset. I took the next day off. My office that I worked at was so supportive of me at the time. They said, hunker down, do it again. And then so what would make the most sense, if you knew that you had somebody in your office that was taking the bar exam, don't you think you'd lighten their caseload?
A little bit, yeah.
Mine got heavier. It got heavier. And the heavier it got, the better I got at public defending. I public defended for 9 months, and damn it, I was good.
Yeah.
You know, for a 9-month-old public defender. Yeah.
Yeah, you were getting real world experience, not just the books.
Yeah, exactly. I was getting good at it. And, you know, if I kept with it, I probably would have been an amazing defense attorney. So I took the next administration of the bar exam, which was in February. And at that point, I had the attitude of, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I have to pay my bills. You know, and then at this time I've got clients calling my house at 6 p.m. from jail. They're doing this to me in jail, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to the jail every day, meeting my clients. I'll never forget one of the things where I was like, yeah, I'm never doing this again. I had one client, he embarrassed me so bad. I had to go and look at evidence of whatever was going on in his case. So I went to the prosecutor's office to see the evidence. He's on this video just spewing racial slurs, all this other stuff. Now, at the time, again, I had a little bit more hair by then, so I was still skinny and unhealthy, but I had a beautiful afro at the time. And so I'm very much a black-looking attorney at the time. So I'm in the prosecutor's office listening to this man with his racial slurs on the evidence. And I was like, okay.
And you're supposed to defend him. That's your job.
Girl. So I left there. I went to the jail where he was. And I was like, sir, why didn't you tell me you were acting a fool? You know, he was like, what do you mean? I told him, I was like, you were saying all these racial slurs, whatever else.
And he had seen you before this.
Yes.
Yeah. So he knew who was defending him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, well, I wasn't calling you the N-word. I was calling them the N-word. I packed up my shit and I just left the jail. I said, what am I doing this for? What am I doing this for? And like you said, I had to go and defend his constitutional rights because that was my job. But at the point I was just like, dude.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm dealing with on a daily. Yeah. Okay. I'm dealing with this on a daily basis. I get no rest. My clients are calling me at 6 p.m., whatever else. So I'm dealing with this while studying for the bar exam. So, but also my mindset had shifted. I was like, I'm not going to be practicing law for forever. I'm going to take this test because this is what I'm supposed to do, quote unquote. So I took the test February, got my results in April again, forever. I failed by like 3 points.
So close.
So close. But also I was like, listen, I know for sure that this one is my out.
Yeah.
So I was, and then at that point, my limited license had expired. So whether if I wanted to be done or not, I was done.
They were done. Yeah.
And again, very shameful process. I had to write letters to all my clients, all the judges, all the prosecutors, say, hey, I failed this test again. I'm done. So embarrassing. And I remember there was one prosecutor so sweet from Anderson County, and she was fierce. I honestly liked going against her in court because she taught me so much. And I remember I texted her and told her what had happened. And that was the first time I ever saw her be nice. And
she showed you compassion.
Yes, she did. And she was very sweet to me. And she was like, Anora, you have been a phenomenal attorney. I'm so sorry this has happened. And, that brought me to tears. That was so sweet, especially for somebody on opposing counsel to be that nice to me about it. And the judges were very sweet. I had judges write very sincere, messages to me as well. So it was very sad. And I'll never forget the paralegal in our office. She was sobbing when I left. I was like, girl, it's okay. It's okay.
So you had an impact there.
I did.
Yeah.
I'd like to think so. Yeah. My clients were, I'm happy to have touched the clients that I did. There's a couple cases I'll never forget. There's some cases that I wish I could forget. Some photos I wish I could unsee.
Yeah.
But I'd like to say so. In the short time that I was there. So that was my experience in taking that second quote unquote failure. That was my introduction to a whole new world.
So that failure really opened doors for other things.
Yeah, it did. So you remember how I said, as a kid, I determined I wanted to be a lawyer because it seemed the most risk averse. So I was like, all right, you've been handed on a silver platter a new opportunity. You can either sit down, take this test again, do it again, practice law, be a miserable lawyer, or you could try to be an entrepreneur, what you've kind of always wanted to do. So I decided, I said, listen, if I want to take the bar exam again in the future, I will. Nothing's preventing me from doing it. But I said, I will do it differently next time. I will do it when I have enough money in the bank to pay for those crazy courses, maybe a tutor. And, when I really feel like I have to have it or I'm not going to make it, like I have to want it that bad to put myself through that again. And I have yet to feel that. So,
but that's a nice fallback option.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If this doesn't work out, I can just be a lawyer.
Exactly. Because nobody can take that from me. You know what I'm saying? And so, like you said, my backup is just be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound crazy?
That's my backup.
That's my backup. Not a bartender, no. Just go be a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
But
I'm grateful that is my backup, and this is how the universe works for me. Even with all the devastating things I've gone through in life, I've always been good, beyond good. So before I got bar results, finding out that I had failed, I got a JD preferred job that wasn't practicing or anything. It was the highest paying job I had at that point. So after I found out I failed, I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to go to this job I already got.
Yeah.
I was making more money, but it was like the epitome of corporate.
Not something that you wanted to do.
I thought I was dying every day.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow, this is worse than being a lawyer. And I remember at the time, and so it was so stressful for my then fiance, now husband, because he was just a trooper through it all. When he met me, I was at the end of law school. He knew I was going to be a lawyer and be good. No, actually, I'm just spiraling. Sorry.
Yeah.
But he was a traveling welder at the time, making a lot of money.
Okay.
And so, we wanted to come home and be together, be a family. So, he came home. So, welders at home make way less money than they do traveling. So he took a huge pay cut, and we're at home, and I'm working this corporate job, feeling like I'm going to die every day. And I'm like, I can't do this. But then at the same time, I was like, I can't do this to my husband that has just left a good paying. When I tell you, I am the queen of quitting. If something does not serve me, I will quit.
Yeah, change it up. Don't sit through it and suffer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If something is physically making me sick because of the mental weight, I will quit because I saw what it did to me in law school, and I don't ever want to get that low again.
Yeah.
So the lowest I've ever been mentally was when I was in law school. I said, I refuse to get back to that. That's not healthy. So I saw that happening with this corporate job. And one day I went to the bathroom and I cried in the bathroom at the job. And I was like, girl, go get your purse.
Something's got to change.
Go get your purse. I went and got my purse and I just left. I left. I am the queen of quitting. So I got my purse. I left. And then it wasn't like an immediate sense of relief because I knew I had to tell my husband.
Because now what? Now you don't have a paycheck. And now you have to tell your husband. Now you have to figure out what's next. What'd he
never
say?
forget. I get home and he comes home. It's like, hi, dear. Now, mind you, so this job he's got, the job he had before, 6-figure job, easy. You know, he'd be clean when he got done working. So the job he took at home, he comes home dirty and all this other stuff, not making as much work, kind of working harder, actually. So he comes home, he's got all this dirt on his face. I was like, hi, dear. So I quit my job. And he said, you did what? And I was like, yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in forced therapy sessions again. So I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I saw it coming and I had to let it go.
Mentally just,
Exactly.
it was going to be too much.
Exactly. He was like, I wish you would have talked to me about it more. But he was frustrated, but he was calm.
Yeah.
He's a very calm guy.
He probably saw the stress on you.
I think he did.
Yeah.
And so at that point we were spiraling, I was.
Yeah.
He's very cool, calm, and collected. And I said, why don't we go on the road together this time? Because he was a traveling welder by himself before. I said, why don't we go together? We bought a camper.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. This is some, there was a lot.
Let's do it. Let's go on the road, get a camper.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff that led us to that point, but this was kind of a fun part of my life.
Yeah.
So we got a camper. Her name was
gap year again.
Yes, a new gap year. I never thought about it like that. So we got a camper. Her name is Camper Cheryl. We still have her. We got Camper Cheryl. She was a used camper. And it was me, my husband, and my dog, Busy. Yeah. And he contacted his old boss. He was like, hey, you got a job? And he was like, yep, they always have jobs.
Yeah.
So we went up to New England. We spent a lot of time in New England, in New York and stuff. And when I tell you countryside New York is beautiful. It's very similar to Kentucky.
Okay.
Pennsylvania. We saw a lot of beautiful spots in Pennsylvania. Avoided the bears. Girl, the bears.
Because you were out camping, so you were in the wilderness.
Yes, we were glamping because our camper was very nice. It wasn't like a super expensive one with pop outs and stuff, but it was a nice camper. And my husband has this old dually truck that he's Frankenstein together that should not run, but it runs really well.
Yeah.
And we pulled our camper with that. We had our dog in the back, and we just had a ball up in New York and all of New England, Connecticut, everything. Traveling, and he was our provider at the time, and I was trying to find work, and it was tough. The job market's been kind of bad for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So it was tough for me. And then that's what we did for a long time, and we had a lot of fun, despite some of the challenges. That was my first time trusting somebody else with, financially providing. So that was our new gap year.
Road.
Yeah.
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 So then what led you to the vending machines, the Nori Project?
Yeah. So in the middle of the glamping, my sister-in-law, so I bought this book. Can't remember the name of it, but something about an MBA, like through the book. Because I knew I wanted to get into business, and I was like, I had this journal. I still have this journal, and I was like, vending. And I've got all these notes about vending, and I was like, laundromats? Got all these notes about laundromats. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I was circling around to it. And so I had these business ideas, and I'm very close to my sister-in-law, so I was talking to her about it. At the time, she worked at U of L in the engineering school, but she had heard, because she, I think, was in the MBA program at that time. She had heard they were doing some like entrepreneurship innovation startup weekend thing where you can come pitch your business ideas. So it was on one of the weekends where we actually came home, or my husband had the week off. We came home, and she told me, she was like, hey, they're having this event at the business school or wherever it was. You should come to this with your ideas. And we were tired. We had just got off the road the day before, and I was tired. I was like, I don't want to go to Louisville and do this. And, I was very kind of depressed.
Yeah. And you'd have to have a business plan ready to go.
Exactly. But something was telling me, because I was trying to talk myself out of it. Something was telling me to just go. And so I got up, I did my hair, and I went. And it changed my life. And I met a woman named Natalia Bishop. She is a Colombian immigrant, actually. She came over here as a teenager, I think, and she has been winning ever since.
Yeah.
She is a strong businesswoman in the Louisville community. She's had several businesses. Right now, she owns Story Louisville. It's a co-working office in Nulu, and she changed my life single-handedly. So I went to that, and I was like, here's my ideas, but, still risk-averse, Anora, a little bit. I want to bring vending here, but the vending that I saw in Japan when I got my scholarship to study law in Japan. Those vending machines were crazy. We could help so many people with that type of vending. We could bring fresh food to people in food deserts, because I grew up in a food desert. During COVID in law school, I lived in the West End, which is considered a food desert or food apartheid. So I was like, we could help so many people with this. And I was talking to Natalia about it, and she was like, okay, so do it. And I was like,
Like, get going on it.
I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, you have a great idea. And we had a whiteboard session. That was our first ever whiteboard session. And we got on that whiteboard and we're scribbling all these ideas and plans. And she was like, okay, this is great. So what's the name for it? And I was like, still not believing that this can be a thing.
She's pushing you, though. Let's get it going.
Natalia's a pusher.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was like, Nori. And I came up with Nori because it's the name of seaweed in Japanese, but it also sounds like my name, Anora. So I just off the cuff, Nori. So I called it the Nori Project, and that was the name for it. And I just stuck with it at that point. And then after it got a name, it became real. And I think that's why she pushed me to name it. It became real after that. And she
It
said,
wasn't just a concept then. It wasn't like you had to explain something. You described it. You named it, and then you can move forward.
it had a name.
Yeah.
It was real. And she told me that she would hit me up in about 2 weeks. And I was holding on to that. She said, I want you to go home. I want you to make business cards. I want you to do whatever you need to do to make this feel real. And I did that. I'm type A. I did that. I had a business card. I was writing the things down as if it was a real thing. And then another buddy of mine that I went to law school with, she was doing business law. And she said, oh, you should hit up Amplify in Louisville. They have people that can teach you how to start a startup and stuff like that. So I did that. And that's where I met Lydia Henshaw, who is also an amazing female business owner and founder in Louisville. And she now owns Journey Warehousing here in Louisville. She is amazing. How lucky am I to have
it's connected to so many amazing people.
so many amazing women on top of that? You know what I'm saying? So it was amazing. And Nori would not be Nori without Natalia and Lydia. Both fueling me up to do the thing. And I feel like that's something Lydia said to me a lot of the time. Yeah, do the thing. Do the thing. And with Lydia's guidance, I made it like an actual business. I got incorporated. I was like, Lydia, how do I do that? I don't even know. I thought back to my time in law school. I took a business law class. And when I tell you, I don't remember much from law school. I think trauma is blocking it out. One thing I do remember, it was like foreshadowing. I remember I had a professor. He was this old guy. He talked slow. He got on my nerves. And he was like, when you start a business, you want to make sure that you incorporate as a C Corp because blah, 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 blah. He gave great reasons as to why. That burned in my brain because I said, I don't know when, I don't know what, but I will be a business owner in the future. So
with that,
exactly. So I knew I wanted to do that. And I told Lydia, how do you do it? And she said to get on LegalZoom. And I was like, I went to law school. I shouldn't have to do that. Actually, go get on LegalZoom. It's so much easier.
It's all written out for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Here are the steps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I got incorporated. So this all happened in November of 2022, I think. And then I was incorporated by January 23. And so it was real. And I was like, oh my God, this is real. Now, mind you, Natalia said, go home, do this. I'll text you in about 2 weeks. So I'm sitting by the phone every damn day, just waiting on a text from this crazy lady that told me to do the thing. And so she did. She texted me. She said, I want you to apply for this. And I applied for an accelerator program. It was called the Wild Accelerator. I got into that accelerator. It was for startups owned by women of color.
Okay.
And so they would help you do all of the things to get your startup going, to help it be successful. That accelerator changed my life as well.
Yeah.
It took Nori from a concept, an incorporated concept, to a real business with tangible assets and, numbers and metrics and data. So, and in that accelerator, my startup was the youngest. All the other women had different types of products that they were selling, and they had been in the game for maybe a year or so. And I'm like, I just came up with this like yesterday.
Here's my name. Here's the concept. Let's go.
Yes. Yeah. So, it changed my life, and everything I learned there was so valuable. It's like an accelerated MBA.
What an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
It's like a group of mentors that can walk you through the process so that you don't have to spend all the time and just digging and digging. It's because people have done this before. You're not the first person to open a business.
Exactly.
But let's help you out.
Yeah.
To get going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, to your point, I'll tell you something that really inspired me to stop being so risk averse, because that was holding me back in life in general. When Natalia told me that she was a Colombian immigrant, and she'll always tell the story of she came over here with like $400 in a suitcase. And it had immigrants in America running businesses has always inspired me, because you can come over here not even being confident in the language, and you can do this. Gosh, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
So why can't I do the same?
Absolutely.
So that has always inspired me. I've always been in awe of that. And that helped push me forward. And she's always just like, just do it.
Just do it. You can do it.
Just do it. And one thing she told me, she said, because at the time I was still very self-conscious about failing the bar exam. She said, you have to stop being self-conscious about that. That is part of your story. She said, if you did not experience that failure and rebound from it, you wouldn't be able to know, what you're capable of. And she's right. I'm not scared of nothing now.
Yeah.
I'll
what
try.
happened to you?
Exactly.
You can live through that. Don't
Exactly.
Don't use that to define you.
Exactly.
But pull from the experience from it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, what I can confidently say is after that failure, I shooted into what I felt was success. And so I'm really not afraid of failure. Every time I feel a failure coming, or if I say I may have failed at that, I'm like, oh, what's coming next?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
What new door is going to open?
Yeah. I'm excited to add failures to my back pocket, because it's data. You're learning about yourself, and you can only go forward from that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Keep moving forward. Yeah. So how is it going?
So it's going well. So I did the Wild Accelerator, graduated from that, got my first investment. And then it was like, I'm not even kidding. I told you the universe loves me. I don't know why, but I'm grateful.
Yeah.
It was like after I got that first investment, there was another grant opportunity for $100,000. Opportunity just fell in my lap. I took it.
Yeah.
I got that grant. So at that point, I had enough money to get the assets to buy the vending machines that I wanted. And I worked with the manufacturers to design what I wanted exactly. We got that. And that was the first battle that was over, right? I've got the thing that I need.
You got the product.
So, the hardware. Well, hardware startups are the most challenging ones, because you have to have a bit more capital to get the hardware itself. A lot of VCs do not like to invest in hardware startups for that reason. It's very capital intensive. And I get it.
Yeah. It's manufacturing, and then you're going to have the actual products. What do you do with
Exactly.
it? Yeah.
Exactly. It's a lot that goes into it. And for that reason, it takes longer to prove your concept. So there's a lot that goes into that. But I got that grant. We got the vending machine. Well, we purchased them. I learned through trial and error of being a business owner, it may take months to get your freight from overseas. And then by the time you get it, it's going to cost you 2 to 4 times more what you paid for it. When I tell you, I learned everything so fast. There was so much anxiety and all of the things and waiting and all this other stuff. At any point, I'd be like, I wonder where my vending machines are. Maybe in the middle of in the Pacific. I don't know.
On a boat, headed over.
I have no clue. So it was a lot of waiting. Like I had stuff to do. Oh, so I started Nori, right? So I'm doing that. I got the money to do it. Now, at the time, I'm still on the road with my husband. I finally got a break and I got a job. So I got a job at Kentucky State University doing their compliance and contracts for their agriculture program. So I did that for a little over a year, maybe close to 2 years. I don't remember. So at that point, I had to go back home. I had to go off the road. And then my husband eventually came off the road too. He found a really good job. So we were good at that point. I was like, okay, we're finally doing the things. I've got this business and I've got a job. My husband has a job that he likes. The dog is healthy, so everything is good. We were doing good. I hated my job. But what I will tell you is I learned this last job I had, which was KSU. I'm not a good employee. I'm not meant to be anybody's employee. It just is what it is. I think I'm meant to be C-suite level employee and that's it. Because I have too much to shrink into that corporate type of structure. It's not for me. And that's okay. It took me 20-some years to figure that out too. Data.
Yes.
So everything was good. We've got the vending machines going. I finally get the vending machines here. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Natalia has the co-working office. So her being a good mentor, she said, put your first machine here. I said, all right, I'm taking you up on it. And I did. I put my first machine there. And that was our MVP, minimum viable product machine, where we did the data, we did the testing, we did whatever else. Natalia let me do whatever because she's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. And
so I tested the things. I got the food supplier. We made menu items, all this other stuff. I did it. Cool. And it was great. We did that for a little bit. And then we expanded with a different type of machine, a smart fridge, at Shawnee Public Library. So we did that for a bit as well. And that's when we introduced the farmer produce bags. So not only were you able to get meals, healthy snacks and drinks out of that one, but you were able to get a produce bag as well. So, I mean, it worked really well. And then we got into the Vote Awards, which is a very prestigious accelerator here in Louisville. So it's like the Vote Awards is like the Harvard of accelerators here in Louisville. So I was like, yes, I did it. I got into the Vote Awards. Just a lot of amazing opportunities. I felt like as soon as I put aside that risk averseness, the cards just started falling. Opportunities just started coming. And it was great. And then I had an amazing angel investor as well. Another investor that was great. So we just really did amazing work. I did what I set out to do, which was to make healthy food accessible in communities where it's not usually. And by doing that, not also bending on the for-profit portion of my business, because a lot of people say you have to be one or the other. You have to be for profit or you have to be a social mission nonprofit. After being a public defender, I consider that nonprofit work. As much money as I was bringing home, I'm not doing that again. I just don't want to. But I was like, I'm going to help people and I'm going to make money while I do it. And I did that. And I'm very proud of the work that Nori has done.
That's awesome. So where are we at now with the Nori Project?
So with the Nori Project, we have since pivoted from our original business model, and we pivoted into selling, renting, consulting, and custom solutions geared towards a target audience of organizations, entrepreneurs, other things. Because what we learned through our first business model is that we had a lot of entrepreneurs reaching out saying, hey, we want to do kind of like a franchise type thing. And then we also learned that a lot of nonprofit organizations just, wanted the hardware, the guidance, and the infrastructure
Instead
to do
the complete package of
exactly.
The food.
Exactly. I said, at first I was very hesitant. It actually took me a while to come around to that because I was like, no, this is my thing. And I was like, you got to give the people what they want in business. So I was like, it's time for a pivot. And so we pivoted to do that, and that was great. And we immediately sold 2 machines to a nonprofit, and we did that consulting, like, this is how you can do this is how you can structure it. And one thing I let them know is, like, once we're done here with this initial consulting, I'm still here for you to help you do that. I want this to be a part of your infrastructure. And then we sold another to a nonprofit recently. So, I mean, it's the same thing. We want to make sure that they have these systems in place so they can keep it going. And I feel like that's what I've done with Nori. I was like, okay, after that pivot, I was like, I feel like I've done the work that I set out to do. And I feel like once, we're done here with Nori, it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
I've got farmers calling, all of these other things. It's not going to stop. It's like I dropped something in the bucket, like a drop of dye, pink dye, because it's my favorite color, into a bucket of water, and that pink is just swirling. It's not going to stop. So I feel like we've influenced the customers that I wanted to influence, and I think that vending is going to have very much good impacts and new innovation as a result of Nori in our Kentucky community as time goes on.
So definitely different than what you started out was putting in these vending machines to areas that did not have as much access to food and healthy foods. And we talked before, I mean, just the struggles of, I'm sure how hard it was to reach out to individual corporations and trying to get it in there. And then, you have to pivot because this is your business. Yeah. You haven't fallen back to the lawyer yet. You have to earn a living. Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard because a lot of times, so we didn't get much VC funding because, like I said, they don't want to invest in hardware.
Yeah.
They see a Black woman with a for-profit, quote-unquote, company that wants to help people, and they think, it's giving charity. I don't want to invest. I understand. And then secondly, when it came to customers, before we pivoted, we had a hard time getting into places that you think would be a great spot for Nori. There's so many caveats. The American economy and just consumerism is not ready for that high level of vending just yet. It's slowly getting introduced, but when it comes to healthy food that you can microwave automatically in a vending machine, it's over a lot of people's heads. You'd be surprised. Seriously. And, I remember when we first started vending, the health department in Kentucky, they were like, so the vending machine does what? They had to make me a new permit.
Yeah. Because they'd never seen this before. Yeah.
So it was a lot. And I'm just like, guys, it's really not complicated. It's really not. But a lot of people are not ready to have that in their space. A lot of people are not ready to use something like that. They're scared of it. It's very archaic if you think about it, but it is what it is. And so I found that to be a struggle. And these machines aren't typical. They're not small 110 volt machines. These are 220 volts. This is not like a typical laptop type of technology. This is like a car type of thing. So we had struggles with that customer acquisition. And that's why I pivoted. I said, this is what people are telling me what they want. I'm going to give the people what they want. And so I pivoted as a result.
Yeah. Looking back at maybe you or someone else, and they were looking at getting into their own business, what advice would you tell them?
Don't do hardware. Don't go to law school. No, I'm kidding. Let me think about that for a second.
Because as much as you might want to say don't do it, it has built you to be who you are today. And you wouldn't be where you are today if you hadn't gone through that. Yeah. If it would, quote unquote, been the easy life or an easier path.
What I will say is I think starting a business is a great thing for people to do. I do want to advise it's not for everybody. In the same way that being a 9-to-5 girly is not for me, starting a business is not for everybody. If you want to have assured income every 2 weeks, don't start a business. There'll be times when you're broke. There'll be times when you're rich. There'll be times where, the money will come right when it needs to come or a couple days after right when it needs to come. Yeah. That's just kind of part of it. But it's worth the gamble, to do your own thing, to see something that you've created come to life and to serve other people. I would say if you want to start your business and you're unsure, don't do it. I want you to be 1000% sure that you can do this thing. Not even if you feel capable, but that you want to do it. Yeah. If you 1000% want to do it, you've feel it burning in your soul, get up and do the thing, and you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And
You
reach
have
out.
passion.
Yeah. And reach out to other people that have done it. And keep reaching out to other people. You know, you can't have any shame in business. And so that's something I learned too, you know, after failing the bar exam, and I felt that shame. Oh, sorry guys, I have to leave because I failed the test again. I don't have any more shame.
Yeah.
Because you have to walk up to people and say, hey, you have to, you know, be able to do that. You have to be able to say, hey, investor, you gave me $10,000, but I'm about to be broke again and I need 10,000 more to keep this going.
Yeah.
You have to be able to do that. So, if you can do that and get your hands dirty and be confident about it, do it. One thing I will say, similar to being in law school, starting a business can make or break a marriage as well. So if you're not financially set to do it, I don't think necessarily, but now there's a caveat to that. In my situation, I was like, well, damn, I don't have a job. I'm not bringing in any income. We're getting by, you know, but I didn't have an option. So it's kind of like, well,
what's next?
Exactly.
What am I supposed to do?
It was kind of like, I can't get a job anyway. Might as well start a business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing that I'm proud of. I was able to start a business to draw a salary from. And, you know, that was something too, that was scary to me, was I had shame around drawing a salary from my business.
Really?
I did. And I remember talking to my mentors about it. They're like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah. That's the point of the job. You get money from it.
I don't know. I had shame because I wanted to make sure I wasn't taking from my business to grow my business, but I had to sustain myself. Absolutely. Because there's no business without me.
Yeah.
So if you think it takes time, it takes sleepless nights. Still to this day, I'll wake up around 2 to 3 a.m. and be like, I need to do this with my business. It takes, like I said, no shame. You just got to go straight up to people and do the thing. And it takes time and it takes patience. A lot of people I've heard, they're like, you're a business owner, yeah, but you're not really in it until you're at the 3 to 5 year mark, you know, which, you know, may be different depending on what you're doing. But I definitely would say if you feel that burning in your soul to do it. Do it.
Yeah. Because anyone can do it, but you've got to have that passion to keep you going because it's not going to be easy.
Right. And then worst case scenario, because I'm a worst case scenario girly, worst case scenario, it fails.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
You know, as long as you don't fail, you know, there's some people whose startups or their businesses will fail and they're in a lot of debt.
Yeah.
Debt, I mean, money comes and goes. Get over it. Deal with it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that should hold you back either if you really want to do it. But, you know, if it fails, like your pride might hurt a little bit. But you did it and you can do it again and you can do it better next time.
Because you learned from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got data.
Learn from those failures.
Yeah.
Success.
Yeah. I think my proudest thing in life thus far is the bounce back I've had from my quote unquote failures. It has been poetic.
Yeah.
With the hindsight. Because when it was happening, oh my God, it did not seem poetic at all. At all. No. So, that's what I'd say. If you feel that burning to do it and it won't leave you alone, do it.
Do it. Yeah.
Do it. It takes 5 seconds to get incorporated.
It does. It's so easy to start an LLC.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add?
I'd like to add, because I was probably about 28, maybe, when I failed the bar exam the last time. 28, 27, I don't remember. It's never too late.
Yeah.
For anything. Because at the time I felt like still in my 20s, it sounds crazy now, that I was too old to be pivoting into a totally different thing. No.
Never too old.
You're never too old. It's never too late to learn something new, to do something new, to cut your hair, you know, anything.
Cut it, grow it.
Dye it. Yeah. So, it's never too late to do the things. It's never too late to get in shape or anything like that. That's another thing I'll add to that advice. If you want to start a business, make sure you're taking care of yourself mentally and health and, you know, physically.
Yeah.
Because entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey. Whether people want to believe that or not, it'll bring out your biggest insecurities. So make sure you're taking care of your mind and your heart, all that stuff when you start it, but definitely just do the thing.
Yeah. Because you got to stay healthy to sustain yourself through
exactly.
it.
And another thing, people that have never been entrepreneurs, they're like, this girl is just at home all day. She didn't do
What are you doing?
What do you do for
Hanging
work?
out, watching TV? No, it is hard work.
It is hard. It is hard. And people, like I said, those 9-to-5ers that are okay with that, they don't get it.
No.
I remember one time I was talking to my grandmother and she was like, well, you need to get a job. I was like, oh, okay. I thought I was paying my bills from my business, but you wouldn't understand that. So I'm not going to be offended. But
It's a hard job.
They don't get it. It's such a job. It's like 4 jobs in one.
And you're always thinking about it. It's nonstop.
Especially if you're small at first, because you're wearing all of the hats. You're on social media. I hate being on social media.
You got to promote yourself.
Exactly. You have to. So it's just like all of the things, but it can be lonely because it's not a journey that many people take.
Yeah.
So definitely find a community that you can relate to. Find some mentors that have done it, that pledge to be there for you. Because I told Natalia and Lydia both, I was like, all right, you understand this is a for life thing, right? So, and that's kind of, that was the community that I needed to get through, because I've got friends from that first accelerator that I was in that I still talk to. Sometimes we'll send each other like 12-minute audio notes. Sometimes we're crying. Sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, guess what happened? But you got to find that community that understands what it's like to be a hungry entrepreneur. They're the only ones that are going to get it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Anora, thank you so much for joining us and your perspective. What a story. What an inspiring story that would take us from what could be seen as a failure to such an amazing journey that you've been on. So I want to thank you so much. And to everyone, thank you for listening to Tripoint Conversations. Thanks for listening to Tripoint Conversations. Make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. If this conversation resonated with you, share it with a friend or someone who's navigating their own next chapter. And if you know a story that deserves to be heard, or maybe that story is yours, head to tripointstrategicgroup.com and send me a note. I can't wait to keep this journey going with you and introduce you to more incredible people who are shaping their communities one story at a time.